we'll get you started in Boston and then head to Oklahoma City for the Suns and the Thunder. Welcome to day 2 of the playoffs, an NBA tip-off presented by AT&T. Ernie Johnson here in Atlanta, Shaquille O'Neal and Kenny the Jet Smith and Charles Barkley, primed for a big day of hoops.
Let me tell you something. As a guy who was blessed to play for the Sixers, anytime we played the Celtics, it was a really big deal. I cannot wait for this series to start.
But y'all were terrible when y'all played.
No, we weren't terrible. We were not terrible.
You weren't what?
Terrible.
Terrible. There you go. We had an early one.
You were terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you had that Dr. Dave.
Did you win? No, we were terrible.
We won sometimes. We win all the time.
You sound like a 3-year-old. We won sometimes, Daddy.
No, but it was always intense.
Yeah.
It was always intense.
And you think the same in this time around, too?
I do not think that.
There will not be intensity in this playoff series?
There's going to be an ass-kicking coming. That's what's going to happen.
All right.
Quick and fast.
Way to build it up. It wasn't expected to be a number 2 seed in the East kind of season in Boston, but Jaylen Brown had a career year, and Jason Tatum has come back from an Achilles tear. And now in the eyes of many, the Celtics are the favorites to come out of the East. The first round brings the Sixers, who opened the season with a win in Boston, and now hope to start the playoffs the same way. George Sedano is going to be working the sidelines in Game 1. We check in with him now. George?
Hey, EJ. Good to have you guys aboard, and thank you for having me on the show today. So let's talk about what I discussed earlier today, if that's okay with you, with Joe Mazzulla. We talked specifically about Jason Tatum, and I asked him, are there any markers that he needs to hit, now that the postseason is here? Because there's a different level of intensity, as we all know, when it comes to the postseason. And he said, absolutely. Look, during the regular season, we wanted to see a couple of different things. We wanted to make sure that he played heavy minutes at some point, that he played about 40 minutes, and he did that a couple of different times, played 39, 40 minutes in a couple of different games. He also wanted to see if he could play a whole 12-minute stretch in a quarter, and he was able to do that. So they feel confident in where he's at right now from a conditioning standpoint, and they feel the shot will come around. He's not a 41% shooter. They expect him to be even better this postseason.
Hey, on the Philadelphia side, any word? I know Joel Embiid's dealing with the appendicitis, and is there any indication from Nick Nurse on when we might see him, if we are going to see him in the first round?
Unfortunately, EJ, it doesn't look like we'll see him anytime soon because he's still dealing with the recovery from that surgery. And when we asked him about a potential return during this series, he said they're not ruling it out. But again, this is something that's still kind of touch and go. He hasn't even...
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we are talking about the Boston Celtics and the Philadelphia 76ers, and Charles Barkley is not giving the Sixers much of a chance. The Celtics are the number 2 seed in the East. The Sixers are the number 7 seed. Joel Embiid is dealing with appendicitis and is unlikely to play in the first round. And Chuck says this series is going to be an ass-kicking. The Celtics in 5 games. Maybe even a sweep. Let me break it all down. The Inside the NBA crew started with some playful banter. Charles Barkley reminded everyone that he played for the Sixers. Ernie Johnson said anytime the Sixers and Celtics play, it is a really big deal. Shaquille O'Neal immediately shot him down. He said, "But y'all were terrible when you played. Did you win?" "No." "So, you were terrible." Charles said they won sometimes. Shaq said, "That sounds like a 3-year-old. We won sometimes." The audience laughed. Charles said it was always intense. Shaq said he does not think there will be intensity in this playoff series. Charles said, "It's going to be an ass-kicking coming. That's what's going to happen. Quick and fast." Then the crew discussed the Celtics. They have been incredibly consistent this season. They are 2nd in the East, 2nd in offensive rating, 4th in defensive rating. And they did all of this while Jason Tatum only played 16 games after coming back from his Achilles tear. Kenny Smith said the reason the Celtics were able to do this in what was supposed to be an off year is because of Jaylen Brown. He said, because of circumstances, he was placed as number 2, but we forget that he was the Finals MVP. He said Jaylen Brown flourished when he got the role as both playmaker and shot maker. He is now a first-team All-NBA guy and one of the top 3 guys in the MVP race. He put his team on his back and said there is no pause button in Boston. There is a button that just says go, and they are trying to win it. Shaquille O'Neal added that the Celtics have a great culture. He watched the last game of the regular season, and everybody played hard. Everybody played like they had something to prove. He said that tells a lot about this franchise. The culture of Boston has everybody on that team playing at a high level, high intensity, and that is why they are the second seed. Ernie Johnson noted that the Celtics love to shoot the three ball. They rebound well. They do not turn the ball over. And they defend. Kenny Smith said those are all good things going into a playoff series. He said the Celtics play terrific defense. They have Nemias Quetta at center, who has played well. Peyton Pritchard has done what he does. They play hard. The only weakness of their game, in Kenny's opinion, is that they play a little too slow. They have the slowest pace in the league. He thinks if they played a little bit faster, they would be even better. When they are not making shots, it really shows. If they played faster, they will. D still take the same amount of threes, but they could do even more damage. Charles Barkley was then asked how Philadelphia can make this a series. He said they have to play hard. He said there is nothing worse than playing the underdogs because they have nothing to lose. Boston cannot take this team lightly. Tyrese Maxey has to play great. Paul George has to be the old Paul George. They just have to go for it and do mostly everything right. He said if Boston stays focused and does what they are supposed to do, it will be a sweep. But if they mess around, Philly can get 1 or 2 games because of their talent. Kenny Smith pointed out that Tyrese Maxey is the only guy to average 30 points against Boston this season. He is good. But the biggest problem for the Sixers is that they do not have mismatches. When you are an underdog, you normally can say, okay, that team is better, but we have somebody who is good. But if you look at Philadelphia, Maxey, Embiid, and Paul George are going against Derek White, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown. That is a problem right there. The 3 best players on the Sixers are going against 3 elite defenders and scorers on the Celtics. Normally, when you are an underdog team, you can say you have an advantage somewhere. But here, there is no advantage. Kenny said he wishes he could have some hope because he is a Sixers fan, but this is going to be rough. The crew also got an update from George Sedano on Joel Embiid. Sedano said it doesn't look like we will see him anytime soon. He is still dealing with the recovery from his appendectomy surgery. He has not even started basketball activity. The Sixers are not ruling out a return during the series, but it is touch and go. Embiid is the reigning MVP when healthy. Without him, the Sixers have no chance. With him, they have a puncher's chance. But even with Embiid, Charles Barkley does not think the Sixers can beat the Celtics. He said the Celtics are too deep. Tatum and Brown are too good. Derek White is an all-NBA caliber player. The Celtics have the best defense in the East. And they have championship experience. The Celtics split the season series with the Sixers 2 games apiece. The first 3 games between these 2 teams were decided by 4 points or less. So, the games have been close. But the playoffs are a different animal. The intensity goes up. The rotations shrink. The stars play more minutes. And the Celtics have a clear advantage in star power, depth, and coaching. So here is my question to you in the comments. Can the Sixers steal a game or 2 from the Celtics without Embiid? And will the Celtics sweep this series? Let me know. I read every single comment. As always, like, subscribe, hit that bell. We are building something special here. I will see you in the next one.